What's going on, Packers Nation? Welcome back to another video of Packers Latest. I am your host, Taylor Bretl, keeping you up to date on the latest news on the Green and Gold Green Bay Packers. A happy Friday to all of you watching out there, and a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. If you want to sign up for Underdog, scan that QR code right up there, and when you play your first $5, you can win $75 in bonus entries. You do not want to miss out on that. Lots of fun promos going on with the Super Bowl just around the corner. Got a lot of coaching talk on this episode, most of it negative news, unfortunately, with guys departing from Green Bay, but we're going to start on the positive news. Green Bay does fill their needed position of a linebackers coach, and they hire Sam Seifkis. Kind of a fun note about me, I am a Hokie. That is where Sam Seifkis was. He was the defensive coordinator with the Virginia Tech Hokies, so I'm actually pretty familiar with this name, so hopefully I can provide you guys with some useful information. So Sam Seifkis, like I just said, the defensive coordinator for the Virginia Tech Hokies this past season, but before that, he was the linebackers coach in 2023 and 2024 under Jonathan Gannon. A huge reason why Seifkis is now with the Packers, with Jonathan Gannon taking that role as the defensive coordinator. But you look at Seifkis, you kind of look at his background, where he comes from. He's actually a Wisconsin native. He is from Oconomowoc, and he played defensive back at UW La Crosse. So has a lot of Wisconsin genes. Kind of neat to see him get an opportunity with the Green Bay Packers. And like I said, once more, coached linebackers for the Cardinals in 23 and 24. Before getting a defensive coordinator role at a D1 ACC program, the Hokies really struggled in that season. They, a pretty tough season, 3-9, and the defense wasn't too pretty. But that was a team, again, I am a Hokie. I watched every single one of those games. I can preface you that was a team where a lot of guys left midway through the season. You have Brent Pry that got fired. Philip Montgomery took over as coach. So there's some window where guys can decide to redshirt, and after that fourth week, that's what a lot of these players decided. This defense got cut in half. Lots of freshmen, lots of guys that weren't expecting snaps were getting, pretty consistent snaps. So Seifkis did not have a lot to work with, so unfortunate how that defensive coordinator stint lasted at a 3-9 season with the Hokies. But hey, he's a linebackers coach in the NFL and got him a defensive coordinator role, and now he's back where he's comfortable as a linebackers coach one more time, but now with the unit of the linebackers of the Green Bay Packers. So I think that this is a pretty solid hire. I think that there's other names out there that people would have liked, but the fact that Seifkis was, under Gannon and he has Wisconsin roots, I think it kind of crosses two paths there. I personally like it. I mean, the Packers needed to find someone. They're losing coaches left and right. That's what we're going to get into in this next point, with arguably the biggest loss of a coach for the Packers outside of Jeff Hafley, and it is the Eagles, who took away, you could say they took away the Packers quarterback coach in Sean Mannion. And that is going to be a pretty big loss. Mannion now the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. I mean, a huge step up for him. This is a guy that stopped playing football in 2023, and now you're the offensive coordinator of a playoff-level team in the Philadelphia Eagles heading into 2026. So you got to give it up for him. But there is a lot that I have on this, because this is a bigger loss than people may think. So I want to first start this off saying, you look at, a quarterback coach. This will now, for Jordan Love entering next season, this will be his third quarterback coach that he's going to have in 3 seasons. That's not something that you really like. You look at it, he had Tom Clements, not this season, but the season before that, Sean Mannion this season, and now there's going to be someone else next season in the future. So 3 different quarterback coaches in 3 years. It's not something you really want to do for your young and up-and-coming quarterback in Jordan Love, but hey, he's adjusted to many different moving pieces around Green Bay, and I think he's done a pretty good job at that. The big thing about Mannion, I mean, he was a key QB developer for Jordan Love, honestly. Like, after Clements was actually there for a couple of years, and, Mannion steps in, and now he's gone after just a year, but he did help Love with a comfortable transition, even though it was a change in coach. But the big thing about this, with it being the Eagles, he leaves for an NFC rival, for a team in the Philadelphia Eagles that offense was their clear struggle. Finding an OC was a huge need for them if they want to get back to that Super Bowl level, and this seems like a home run hire from them based on things that I've read. Again, a quarterback's coach moving up to an offensive coordinator, that is a huge role. But when you're a quarterback's coach with the Green Bay Packers, when you see what they've done in the past with their quarterbacks all the way since Brett Favre, and how that train's gone from Favre to Rodgers to Love, they kind of know what they're doing when they get a role with Green Bay like that. This is per Anthony DiBona on X, a pretty sizable post here, but I thought it was an interesting one, saying, I reached out to the great, and then he added Marquez Eversole. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I believe he works for 107.5 The Fan, regarding Packers QB coach Sean Mannion. It says Eagles fans might enjoy what he had to say, in quotes, saying, "He's a fast riser. The story behind him is that Matt LaFleur coached Mannion with the Rams. After the 2023 season, the Bears wanted to interview Mannion for a coaching job. So Mannion set up a call with LaFleur and asked if he could hear his pitch to prepare him for the interview. LaFleur was so impressed with this presentation that he basically hijacked him. Mannion interviewed with the Bears, then came to Green Bay, and LaFleur hired him on the spot." I think the most Packer fans would prefer Mannion as an offensive coordinator over Adam Stenavich. For whatever that's worth. That was, again, a pretty sizable post. But sorry, before that, the quote ended. I believe where it says LaFleur hired him on the spot, it just had kind of the start of the quote and didn't show where it ended. But yeah, he did add on at the end that says, "I think most Packer fans would prefer Mannion as offensive coordinator over Stenavich." And I think that's a pretty big thing. That's nothing to Stenavich. It's just the fact that, Mannion had the opportunity to be in OC level. Clearly, he now joins the Eagles, and Packers weren't able to keep him on the staff, a staff where he had connections with LaFleur, and LaFleur's back, he got extended. So it'd be different if LaFleur was gone. Mannion definitely would be expected to go, but the fact that LaFleur stayed, that is definitely a concern. There's another post on this I saw, kind of a fun note if you're an Eagles fan, kind of a worrisome note if you're a Packers fan, seeing a name you might have let go. It says, this is per Chase Sr. on X, saying, "The last time the Eagles hired a quarterback's coach who didn't call plays, it was Andy Reid." If you know Andy Reid, he's a pretty successful coach. Again, this is an insane example because, it's the last time the Eagles hired a quarterback's coach who didn't call plays. So you got to, check off kind of 2 or 3 things there for it to line up with the stat. But hey, that name that fits that category was Andy Reid. So will Mannion turn into the next Andy Reid? That would be pretty gut-wrenching to watch, to see that the Packers let him go and that the Eagles took him under his wing. No pun intended. But that would be pretty tough. But you got to give props to Mannion. Seriously, just got to the NFL in 2023 and then, gets this opportunity with the Packers. And then after this, now he's the OC of a team that could make it back to the Super Bowl if they could figure out their offense. So lots of concerns there. A big loss. We're going to have, lots of stuff in the upcoming videos on who the Packers should look for to replace him. But before we get to our third point of the video, got to give a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Football's biggest game is right around the corner, and you can get in on all the action with Underdog. Not on Underdog yet? Then you're in luck, because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just head to the app, make picks on if a player will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. If you get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there's new promos dropping daily in the app, so if you like making picks and winning money, then Underdog is the place to be for the big game. I was talking about this last episode. I'm focused in on this Super Bowl. I know that it is, a little bit more than a week away with the Pro Bowl happening before it, but I got Sam Darnold higher than 229.5 passing yards. I had a couple picks outside of that, but I'm focusing in especially on the yards for Darnold. I have over 229.5. He was slinging the ball against the Los Angeles Rams, a big reason why they are in the Super Bowl. Different story in that game against San Francisco, but they blew them out 41-6. Darnold didn't really need to throw the ball. I think the Super Bowl could be a tightly contested matchup. That Patriots defense seems pretty good, and I think Darnold's going to have to throw the ball if the Seahawks want to win. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code FOOTBALLFAN to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on Fantasy Underdog. That's promo code FOOTBALLFAN. Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text PMI 467-369.
I welcome you back to Packers Latest. Now we talk more about these coaches that are disappearing from Green Bay staff, unfortunately. We turn it over to Nathaniel Hackett, who follows Jeff Hafley to Miami. It says Hackett is set to become the Dolphins quarterback coach, replacing Darrell Bevell. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, Bevell. So again, the quarterback's coach, Packers need one with this opening up with Mannion and an opportunity possibly for Hackett to be there, but no, he is going to follow Hafley and go to the Miami Dolphins. Who knows the quarterback he'll be coaching. It's obviously Tua Tagovailoa as of now, but there's rumors that Willis could be going to Miami. I feel like I talk about Miami a lot for a Packers channel, but honestly, every single Packers coach, it feels like, is finding their way to Miami. This is just what you get with a guy at the talents of Jeff Hafley. He's going to be able to take some of these guys with him, and this is another name off the board. Some notes about Nathaniel Hackett. He was Matt LaFleur's first offensive coordinator in Green Bay. Hackett was there from 2019 to 2021, and then this most recent season, he then left, went to the Broncos, was a head coach there for a year, a couple things in between. Then he came back to the Packers. He spent the 2025 season in a hybrid assistant role, helping Hafley on the Packers defense. So there you go. Again, you see the connection between the two. And this would be Hackett's first ever quarterback coach role since 2015. So, a familiar position for him, but it's been about 10 to 11 years since he's been in this position. So will be interesting to see how that pans out. This could maybe be a reason why Green Bay didn't really try to keep him around as a quarterback's coach. It's been a while, but hey, he had a lot of ties to the Packers. I am kind of shocked that he was just let go like this, but I'm not sure. I'm not too sure behind the scenes how everything goes. There's lots of relationship crossovers that we see with all of these hires or departures, but this is one, lots of ties with the Packers, and definitely shocked to see him go kind of as easy as that. But again, feel free to leave down in the comments below your thoughts on these hires. You can start with Cephkis. Do you like that hire? Are you upset that the Packers let Mannion go, that he's now an OC somewhere? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But outside of Hackett, we got two more guys that have followed Jeff Hafley to Miami, and Ryan Downard and Wendell Davis. They also follow him. Starting with Downard, he has been with the Packers since 2018, and he was most recently their defensive backs coach. Kind of looking at his career path with the Packers. In 2018, he was their defensive quality control coach. Then from 19 to 2021, he was the assistant defensive backs coach. Then in 2022, the safeties coach. And in 2023 through 2025, up until his departure, he was the defensive backs coach. So again, another big loss. All of these coming on the defensive side. The one exception is Mannion, but he's not leaving for Miami with Hafley. He is going to Philadelphia. You see all of these losses on the coaching staff are on the defensive side because they are following Jeff Hafley. Then you go to Wendell Davis. He has been the defensive quality control coach with the Packers since 2019. So another guy, a super long stint with the Green Bay Packers. He is gone just like that. It's unfortunate seeing these names go left and right, but this is just kind of how the business goes. So we'll have, a lot of updates in future episodes. I'll make sure to keep you guys posted about names that are coming up as candidates. Again, wish the Packers are playing in the Super Bowl, but they're not. But that means that there is still tons of news surrounding them, even though it's not on the field. Tons of stuff going on behind the scenes. This will be a totally new coaching staff next season, to say the least, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But that's all I got for this episode of Packers Latest. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always, and go Pack Go.